and welcome to Less Pain, More Gain, Strategies for Critical Reading in College Courses. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what critical reading means and how you can apply it to more effectively read your course materials. First of all, what does critical mean to you? What do you think of when you hear critical thinking, critical reading, or a passive reader? And what does the difference mean? Critical is a term that's used to describe the importance or difficulty of a situation or activity. So for critical reader or passive reader, the difference is thinking about that process. And why does this matter when you're talking about a critical thinking or reading in college or in life in general? So we'll talk a little bit about that here. Well, in college, being critical means not waiting for someone to provide you with all of the answers. Participating instead in the process of developing meaning, of asking questions to test out ideas or to better understand the information, and taking responsibility for learning information. These are techniques you can use to ensure success in your college courses. Now, there are many benefits of reading critically. When you critically read the course materials, you're better prepared to participate in class discussions, whether those are in-person discussions or online discussions. This will also improve your comprehension and most likely improve your grades. Professors can recognize your class participation, and you will build a reputation as a more serious student. Through this process, you might find a new area to major or minor in based on the class readings, which can be helpful if you're unsure about what your major is or what you want to do with your college degree later. It also can help you to expand your knowledge base or find a specialization, even if you've already decided on your major and you're pretty certain about what you want to do. Critical reading in general can just help make you a more well-rounded person. What does that look like in college? Well, there are different types of critical reading, and the first we're going to review is reading with a purpose or goal in mind. Here are some examples. As I read Chapter 5 in my psychology textbook, I want to especially focus on the functions of the human brain. If I'm reading the novel Frankenstein, I might want to look for evidence of how the author is defining what it means to be human. And another example, in reading through my biology class notes, I might want to highlight any mentions of titles and phases of mitosis. So there's just a couple of ways that you would read with a purpose or a goal in mind. The second type of critical reading is to form an opinion about what you're reading. For example, after reading an article on the top marketing strategies used in 2013, I disagreed with 2 of the 10 strategies. After reading the novel Frankenstein, I decided maybe Dr. Frankenstein was the real monster. And lastly, in reading about the brain in my psychology class, I realized the amygdala deserves more attention in how we understand human reactions. So all of those you could use in class discussions and to further your study of those topics. The third type of critical reading is to identify areas where you want to learn more or things you're confused about. For example, after reading about mitosis, I realized I keep getting it confused with meiosis. After reading about the pros and cons of solar energy, I realized I want to learn more about how to increase business incentives for using solar energy. And in reading what motivates elementary school students to learn math, I have an idea for improving math instruction at the 3rd grade level. Now, you can use any or all of these types of critical reading as you go through your course materials, whatever works for you or the situation at hand. There are some specific strategies that you can try out in your course readings for this coming semester. For example, complete any reading quizzes that are located at the end of a textbook chapter or in your course materials. If there isn't one, you could create your own quizzes based on your notes. After completing a reading, make a timeline of the information or draw a picture or diagram of the information. Make outlines of textbook chapters that you would use later to review. In addition, you can use note cards to summarize important concepts from your readings and make connections between different readings, theories, and definitions. To be an active reader and become more active in the critical reading process, you can make a vocabulary list for words whose definitions are new for you, or key terms you might need to remember. You also might want to color code concepts from your readings in order to show connections or contrasts between information. Take notes as you read, whether it's that in a notebook or on index cards. If you want some more information about note-taking, you might want to see our video on note-taking strategies. There's quite a few different systems that you can use. As you read, write down questions, things that confuse you or things you want to look into more. In general, the idea is to have something to show for the time that you invested into reading the material. Those are some pretty general reading strategies. Now we want to show you a specific reading system that you can use to read your course materials. It's called the SQ3R method. It's a specific approach that you can use to be more effective as you're reading textbooks. The S stands for survey or skim your reading beforehand. Go through the chapter and look at the pictures, the diagrams, the sidebars, and the chapter summary before you settle down to read the entire text. The next step is ask questions. Q, ask questions. Question what it is you're going to read. What is it that you already know about this subject? What is it you think you're going to learn? What did you think of the items that you skimmed over in your S phase? The 3R stands for read, recite, and review. First, read the material carefully. After you've completed the survey and you've questioned, then you sit down and you actually read through all of the text. Then you're going to recite or restate what you read out loud in your own words. Some people find that this phase is easiest to do with a friend. You can explain to them what you read about in the chapter. That way it doesn't sound like you're talking to yourself. Finally, review what you read for main ideas and anything that you didn't understand. There are some really important benefits for the SQ3R. It provides a regular routine for reading so that you know how to approach every single thing that you read. The repetitive nature of the SQ3R method helps you to move information from your short-term memory into your long-term memory, which better guarantees that it'll be there when you need to take a test or answer questions. The series of steps builds in time so that you can process and apply new information. It also provides you a way to be more efficient in your reading and encourages you to engage with what you read rather than just passively consuming the information. Now, all of this is really important to keep in mind the time management. It's really hard to critically analyze a piece of text or to go through the steps of the SQ3R method if you're in a rush. First of all, for all of your classes, write down the following information on your calendar. All of the due dates, that's the paper due dates, the discussion board, post due dates, test dates, quiz dates. Include which chapters or readings will be covered on each of those things. It may also help to write down when you will begin the process of reading those assigned course materials, when you will review the notes from your readings, when you will set aside time to study for tests and quizzes, when you'll start reading those sources for your paper, and when you'll start drafting the paper from the sources you've read. You can use a physical planner, a wall board, or the electronic calendar on your phone or computer. But the important thing is that you set aside that time in advance so that you make sure that you do it without having to be rushed. Now that we've reviewed what critical reading is and some specific reading strategies and the time you need to do it properly, consider what other factors might affect your ability to read critically. These can include the environment, the activity level around you, noise levels, the time of day. The important thing is to figure out what works best for you and to do your best to always read in those conditions so that you can optimize that time. Don't forget, you're not alone in this learning journey. There are people and resources available to assist you. One, you might want to attend your instructor's office hours to discuss whatever questions you might have about the readings. Even online professors frequently have online virtual office hours, and they're certainly all available by email or phone, and you can reach out to them if you have questions. Start a study group that meets regularly to discuss class readings and notes. Again, a little bit more difficult for online students, but you could set up a Facebook group, you can set up a Google Hangout for your classmates. A lot of classes often provide a chat area, and so you can take advantage of those to set up a time to meet and exchange phone numbers and meet in some kind of virtual fashion. Finally, reach out to one of the tutoring resources. for specific assistance with a particular subject. There are online tutors in a variety of subjects, in a variety of formats, so make sure you take advantage of those resources. Well, thank you for your time today. I hope you've gained some critical reading strategies that may be of use to you in your coming semesters. If you have any questions, feel free to visit tutoring.asu.edu, and best of luck in all of your classes.